Have the apologies, Julie?
Okay, Donna's just going to start the recording, Councillor Doig.
Okay.
And apologies I've got submitted are for Councillor Mullen.
Okay, that's fine, because I just checked my list and that was the only one missing. That's fine. Are there any declarations of interest and transparency?
I think Stephen might have some apologies, Councillor Doig.
Oh, right, okay. Hi,
Sorry,
Stephen.
Councillor. Mark Ferguson, Band Secretary, Unison.
Okay. Chris, you've got some connections, yep.
Yep, member of the United Trade Union convener, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I've applied the test and I will be staying to the meeting.
Okay, Lisa Marie.
Also a connection convener. I am a member of Unison. I've also applied the test and will remain.
Okay, thank you. So can we go on to item 1, which is the health and safety wellbeing achievements for 24-25 and future priorities. Are there any questions? Councillor Nicholson. You're on mute, Fiona.
I just saw that just before you said it. And thanks. So my first, I've got a couple of questions, if that's okay. So my first question relates to page 7 and it's 4.8, and it's just in relation to the reduction in the incidents that are reported, and quite pleased to see that, first of all, to say that. But concerned in terms of the fact that 81% of these that are reported are linked with violence and aggression. And a wee bit of information is never a good thing for me. I always want a wee bit more. So I was wondering if we have any indication at all on the presentation types of that. Is it, of that 81%, is it more verbal aggression? Is it physical aggression? Or is it both? So I was just wondering what the kind of indications were in terms of that. Do you want all my questions or just one at a time? Is that okay? My next one is on page 8, and that's 4.15, and that's in terms of the Scottish Fire and Rescue visits. And pleased to see that there was no enforcement required in terms of that. But I wondered if they ever make any recommendations, and if they do make the recommendations, what kind of action is taken in terms of that? Are they time scaled? And my last question is in terms of 5.1 on the same page, and that's about the priority programmes that are highlighting the need to raise awareness of potential injury to the public from accessing large commercial waste and recycling bins. And I just wondered, had there been an increase in incidents which brought this into focus? That's it, thanks.
Okay, Stephen, could you answer the questions posed?
Yeah, no problem, Convener. Quite happy to do so, and thank you for those questions, Councillor Ellen Nicholson. On the first one in reduction in accidents, thank you for that. That's a result of the collaborative work between ourselves, managers, and our trade union colleagues to drive accident prevention programmes throughout the council and support individuals and take learning. The key bit is to take learning from these incidents to try and prevent it from happening again. Sometimes it can happen, but as much as we can. In relation to violence and aggression, unfortunately, that's a national picture where we're seeing that there's been a significant rise in violence and aggression incidents across the whole of the country, primarily within the education sector, which gets most of the airtime regarding it. However, we do get it in some of our other frontline services that we have represented by our membership here. The type of presenting issues that we get to that, it varies. We've got, I think, 7 or 8 characteristics on our reporting processes. It goes for physical posturing, it's verbal aggression, shouting, swearing. But unfortunately, the theme, and I think I've said this in the past, coming out of COVID, most of those incidents tend to involve some sort of physical harm as well. Use of a weapon. Now, it sounds very traumatic when I say this, but that can be interpreted any way. It could be a can of Coke, a small piece of wood. It's not really knives or scissors or anything like that. It's more just anything that comes to hand, and that tends to be another presenting issue that's coming through in a lot of these things. And what we try to do to stop it, then I'm sitting as part of a national health and safety practitioners group for Scotland to look at what the violence and aggression presenting issues are. We're looking at what the Scottish Government's saying in relation to these elements. They put out the strategy last September for schools and looking at violence reduction in relation to my tongue isn't working today, dysregulated behaviour by the pupils. But again, I need to say this selfishly. It's not just pupils I'm looking for, because it's our employees, and our employees are our greatest resource. So for me, selfishly, we're looking at what the impact can be there, and any learning has been brought back. I'm also the chair of a local West group for our health and safety practitioners that takes in from Argyll and Blewett right down to Dumfries and Galloway. So again, looking at demographics, the type of presenting issues that we get there, and then support strategies we can put in place. And I've asked all of the council services to look at violence and aggression across their outputs. The safety team meet with the health and safety coordinators on a weekly basis to discuss the accidents and incidents and any prevention programmes. And finally, I've got a violence and aggression corporate group just about to start in June for this council. It's going to be chaired by Emma Henry, the head of service within Children's Services for us. She's agreed to take that through. We've got a terms of reference, and we're just about to put some membership available for that. Is that enough for your first question there, Councillor Emily Nicholson?
And I'm delighted to see that the learning's going to be shared, across national forums. Yep. Really good as well. Thanks.
No, on your second question in relation to the SFR visits, again, a lot of the work in relation to fire and fire prevention is again a collaborative issue between ourselves, teams within Crystal Rimple's team there to look at the statutory inspections and the maintenance of the life protection systems are working and should be working the way they should be. So, for instance, fire detection, fire doors, sprinkler systems, all this sort of stuff is working greatly. Unfortunately, when there is an incident that results in a call out from the fire brigade, they automatically instigate a mini audit to come back out and check to see what's on. So regardless of whether what we've been doing or not, they'll come out. But we have a really great relationship. We get a weekly output from Scottish Fire and Rescue, which is shared again through Environment Infrastructure's teams there. So we look at to see what the types of activities been across, not just in the council public estate, but we also get sight of what's going on in our private housing side as well. So we tie in with housing, also see for stuff there. And if we do have recommendations, which they have done in the past, and they're very, very proportionate in their response. So, for instance, if you remember a while back, we had an incident in Renfrewshire Care Home where we had a small fire in the roof space up in there. Luckily enough, they didn't even require any major evac or disruption to the home, but it was due to something. The Scottish Fire and Rescue came out with us, worked with ourselves and the team within Chris's teams there to look at ways in which we can improve the process. And again, we took that learning to Hunter Hill Care Home as well, so that where we put it in. So we are constantly, we see it as a, particularly where there's a sleeping risk, that's one of our greatest risks to the council. So we always make sure in time with SFR where we can to get their advice and guidance. Is that enough for that one, Councillor? And then obviously on 5.1, yeah, I think you'll maybe if I can jog your memory a wee bit about I think it was an airman from Fife that was in the military, went on a night out and disappeared. And it turned out that through investigations through the police, he'd actually went to sleep in a bin. The outcome was that the health and safety executive would push and drive that messaging across the country. We don't seem to see much of it here. Not that I'm aware of so far, and we haven't had anything reported through our waste services of that. However, it's something that we'll continue to keep on with our agenda, and we always try and mirror as much as we can what's going on nationally, because there's a lot of trends and data, and also being a poor skint council, there's a lot of free resource and materials there that help us to deliver that message as well. So getting that out there, but it's all about preservation of life and supporting people the right way, Councillor. So hopefully that's answered your questions.
That's really helpful. I was just curious about how it had popped up. Thanks very much. That's helpful.
Okay, Councillor Lisa Marie Hughes.
Thanks, Convener. Stephen, I suppose it's leading on from Councillor Emily Nicholson's question around violence and aggression, and this may be something you want to send us rather than detailing at length for us just now. But I guess it would be quite good for us to know what we're doing in terms of training for staff across different services, actually, just in terms of being able to keep themselves safe and being risk aware. I mean, as a social care practitioner, that was certainly one of the first things I did when I went into services. There are always going to be situations where people can't keep them safe. Sometimes it comes at you quick and you can't, but it's just that kind of base level awareness for our staff so that they feel confident going in. It would be quite interesting to understand that. And also, I just wanted to comment really positively on the REN talks, although some of them don't particularly relate to me, I have been popping into them just to get a feel for what they are, and I think they're really positive in terms of supporting staff, and it's quite a nice it's a way to pop into things that might be talking about quite serious things without being in a room full of people, and I think that feels quite natural and safe for people, so I've really enjoyed that, and I think it's positive.
Okay, Stephen, can you answer the question posed by Councillor Hughes?
Yeah, not a problem, convener. I was just waiting for make sure you're okay for it to come back in there. Yeah, thank you again. Thank you for the question and also the commentary, Councillor Hughes. In relation to violence aggression training, I would be more than happy if it would suit the board for the next meeting. We can come back with a focused report on that, because there are a number of different strategies across the council. As you quite rightly identified, different activities have got different outputs in relation to them. What we do in our children's houses, we can't replicate within our adult care homes, but just because of the nature of the people there. And again, the difference between what we do in our adult care homes and in the school environment also dictates as to how we manage and deal with those training levels for people. There is general awareness. We've got a violence and aggression awareness course from a corporate perspective. We've got iLearn stuff that's out there, and we also have, particularly within the Health and Social Care Partnership, that's been extended to almost two days now in relation to all different types of violence and aggression. My teeth definitely don't want to say dysfunctional today. Geez, dysfunctional and dysregulated behaviour. Yeah, I think I've been talking too long. My mouth's fraying at the edges again. So I think it's. I think I'm be more than happy if the board would agree for us to bring back a report on that. And on your second point, Councillor Hughes, I'll pass back that commentary to the team, because it's hard work by the people in OD team to make sure that REN talks are delivered in the right topics that are there. What I will say, the most popular one that gets oversubscribed is our menopause talks. They are consistently full to the brim. So we continue to aim and do that, but we also have done a number of other talks on, and we'll continue to do them in line with our health and wellbeing plan, where we're looking at the financial and social responsibilities for people to support staff to help them with any sort of issues that they have. So bringing in credit unions to talk about things, we brought in the RCA Trust to support us with the gambling awareness and support with those issues as well. So again, they're a great vehicle for us to get information out, and I'll pass back your lovely comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no other hands up, so Stephen, I'm just going to say, can you pass to all your team the great work they've done in the last year and all the collaborations and partnerships that you've done to improve things for the staff at basic levels and above? As a councillor, I am called a number of names when things aren't going well, and sworn at a few times. Not often, but it does happen, as the councillors here will testify to. But if we reported all of that, I'm sure the figures would jump up. But it's something that, because we've been councillors for such a long time, we learn to ignore and basically carry on as well. But I just want to say to you and your team, for the reduction in itself of over 1,000 not reported incidents is great. But yes, I think we're all concerned about what's happening in education. We're all concerned what pupils seem to think, oh, I'll get away with this attitude to teachers. There's not as much respect out there, basically, as what it was when, most of us were younger. I don't know about everybody else, but I was told, if you bring any trouble to this door, woe betide you, lassie. But I don't think that's the same for a lot of teenagers today. But maybe it's time that we had, from first year in secondary school, talks about respect and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. It might be, I don't think it would be as easy as that, but it might be a start. So thanks again, Stephen, and to all your team, and congratulations for what's happened in the year. And it's great to hear going forward. And also great to hear that the menopause policy is really having its uptake and a really positive effect on all the females in the council. And thank you again for all that, and the HR team and its input to putting all that in. That is fantastic. So,
thanks for those comments, Councillor. Just if you don't mind, I can say thank you and I'll pass that on for you. And what I will say, unfortunately, if we did use that terminology about respect, I think John Traynor would be having a chap at our doors if we were saying it that way. But I think from that perspective, there's a lot of work we're going to do on that, and I'll certainly bring back reports to this. But thank you for those very kind words, and we'll pass that back on to the team.
Well, it's good to know that your work is getting appreciated at all the levels. Can we agree to note the report?
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay, the next item is the details of grievances. Has anybody any questions? No? Okay, that's fine. The next report is agency workers. I have noticed a slight increase, but is it the time of year, Ruth, that we're basically in that the increase comes in?
Thank you, convener. Yes, I think there's elements of that, coming into holiday periods and whatever, but you can see from the stats that there is a slight increase. We're sitting with 177 agency workers, but they're covering 105 roles. What we can see by the fact that we're showing the number of vacancies now as well, that, I think currently out of the whole grouping, there's 139 vacancies. So we can see that the majority of the agency workers that we've got in are covering for vacancies where there's maybe recruitment ongoing, etc., and all the different things that we talked about. And as we always said, these roles or additional hours are always offered in the first instance to existing staff and then perhaps to casual sessionals, and we would only utilise the agency workers where absolutely necessary. So I think it is a wee spike, but like everything else, it'll probably come down again and settle. It's still only, I think, less than 1.6% of the workforce that's been covered by agency roles.
Very good.
Okay.
Thanks for that. That again is really good considering what we were back a couple of years ago. I think there's a lot of work being done, and it's nationally, everybody for social care workers are really hard pushed to basically find replacements for that. That's why when they're trying to stop immigrants coming in, when we could have skilled people who want to come to this country to do these jobs, being stopped for that is a bit of an annoyance. But as long as we're trying to recruit and making sure that we're giving our staff as much opportunity for overtime as possible, there's not much else we can do. But that's a great job by your team again, Ruth, and a really low percentage. Thanks for that. Can we note the report?
Thank you.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. The end of the policy board, and the date and time of the next meeting is the 11th of September 2005 at 3 o'clock again, and I hope to see everyone there again. Thank you for your time for today, and can we stop the recording?